consecutive quarters since 2019. And militant group Hamas says it has agreed to release 10 hostages under ongoing efforts to reach a ceasefire with Israel in Gaza. SEN.com.au sport is coming up next. Origin glory for Queensland, defying the odds after losing the series opener. Cam Munster, inspirational in the 24-12 win over the Blues, just days after losing his father, Coach Billy Slater, amazed by the bravery of his skipper.
That's as courageous and brave as I've ever seen. I lost my dad in January. I know what it's like. I know how it feels. I don't know how he did it.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENTrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Good morning, this is Giddy Up with Gareth Hall, and this Thursday, it's the 10th of July. A big hello to you wherever you may be listening on your local SENTrack dial or the SEN app. And we are streaming live as we do every day now, all thanks to Bet365 on the SEN app, our Facebook page on SENTrack, and also on YouTube. Massive show coming your way. There is plenty of news happening in the sport of thoroughbred racing and greyhound racing. So Joe Pride, Will Larkin, Will Hayes, Lindsay Smith, Peter Blanche, Johnny O'Shea and Mickey Grantham. What about that for a lineup? They will join me in the first hour of the show for Giddy Up Stable Mail, as we try and help you back a few winners this weekend. We'll catch up a little later on with all of our experts for Bag of Tips today. Daniel Moore will have a chat to us. Dan Moore, of course, he's a jockey that's been around for a long time. He's had success all around the world. And he wants to have a chat about all of these meetings being abandoned in Victoria, especially at Ballarat today. So I don't think he's very happy, Daniel Moore. So we'll have a chat to D Moore about 9:20 to discuss this situation with these meetings being called off. He says that sometimes that's unnecessary. So it'll be an interesting conversation. I reckon Semi Highland will be listening to that. Darren Carroll will join us as well, as I pointed out, with Bag of Tips. We'll talk some harness racing, an extended version of Giddy Up today after 11 o'clock with Facing the Breeze. We'll catch up with all of the major players heading towards night 2 of the Inter-Dominion Series, and there's a Group 1 race, the Proto Star, which is a slot race for the 2-year-olds. So we'll catch up with Luke McCarthy, Kate Gath and Ryan Spice, the form expert, to try and help us back a winner there at Albion Park on Saturday night. What else have we got for you today? And, of course, there's been some big announcements from Racing Victoria, which was announced this morning, and also the VRC and the clubs, Moonee Valley and the Melbourne Racing Club, regarding prize money. It's been remarkable in a way that the prize money levels, so well done to RV here, will stay the same. The Melbourne Cup goes to $10 million. The Cox Plate, in the final Cox Plate at the old Moonee Valley, because, of course, they start the renovation straight after this year's Cox Plate, will now go to $6 million. The Caulfield Cup stays at $5 million. What I love about the Melbourne Cup as well, there's 2 winning your in races that have been added to the Melbourne Cup Golden Ticket, which are now the Geelong Cup, which has always been the traditional lead-up race to a Melbourne Cup. Every horse that's won that seems to get a penalty and they sneak into a Melbourne Cup. So you get a golden ticket into a Melbourne Cup now if you win a Geelong Cup, and also the Moonee Valley Cup, which I think is terrific news. So I'm loving that at the moment. The Melbourne Cup goes up in prize money, but there's nothing. So last year, if you won the Melbourne Cup, you won $4.4 million. This year, you get $4.5 million. But the difference is, if you finished 12th last year, you got paid $160,000. This year, if you finish last, you get $100,000. So the prize money increases have gone to the bottom. So the VRC thinking there is that you should be rewarded if you can get into this country's greatest race, one of the greatest races on the world calendar. So I don't know what you think about that, whether you should get rewarded for finishing last or you're already a winner if you get into the Melbourne Cup. I reckon that will create an interesting debate. I was thinking about that last night, how I sit with that. I'm sitting on the fence. I still think you should get rewarded for winning the Melbourne Cup, and maybe they should have increased a little bit on the top. But I can understand their thinking behind paying down to last, because if you're in the if they're thinking, and there's a good argument to this, if you finish last in a Melbourne Cup, you get $100,000, but just making the race, that means you're a winner. So we'll discuss all that as the morning goes on. And the big issue, and Aaron Morrison will join us as well, I think the big plus to this announcement regarding the prize money is that the maidens will be increased by $5,000 for every maiden race in this state of Victoria, that there'll be a $5 bonus on top of what they race for this season. So I think that's important, because it costs you a lot of money to train a horse these days, and the hardest race to win is your maiden. So you should be rewarded, and they should put more money into the maidens, which they have. So there's a little bit to break down with Aaron Morrison, so we'll have a chat to him about all of the big announcements today. Last night, this story broke that Peter McGorran, who released a statement thanks to the ATC, and it reads, "I've decided to resign as chairman and director of the Australian Turf Club prior to the finish of my term in January 2026. It has been a privilege to serve as a director of the ATC since February 2022 and as chairman for 3 years. I've made this decision aware of the challenges for the ATC ahead, and believe that a new chairman and renewed focus will guide new initiatives for the club's future and its members. I remain convinced the potential sale of Rosehill Gardens was a lost opportunity for the club and the wider racing industry. It was a fully transparent and vigorous debate, and I'm grateful to the 44% of ATC members who voted in favour of the proposal. I believe history will judge the decision to pursue the vision as having been the right one. When I was elected as chairman, the club had posted a financial year deficit of $6.9 million and had a top-heavy management structure. In the past 3 years, we have driven down costs, including a restructure of the leadership team, which assisted the club in posting an operating surplus of $570,000 in 23-24. There have been many highlights in my time on the board, including a sold-out Royal Randwick, last year's Tab Everest, and the number of Victorian trainers now stabled in Sydney. I'm especially proud of the tough decision we made in the face of strong opposition to introduce later track work starting times in the interest of stable staff safety and wellbeing. The ATC is one of the world's strongest racing centres, with all credit due to its dedicated and loyal staff. I thank the many members and the industry participants who continue to support the club and our racing, and wish the new chairman and the board every success in the future." So that is from the now departed chairman, Peter McGorran. We had a chat to Peter after the decision was announced by the members that they didn't want to sell Rose Hill. He put all of his eggs in that basket, saying that they needed to sell Rose Hill for the financial safety of racing. It was the decision that he believed that would future-proof the future of racing by getting this $5 million sale of Rose Hill, and it didn't come off. So I don't think he had any other choice really but to resign. But I've got respect for Peter McGoran for the job and for the job he did. I think he was brave to try and take on many of his members, and he lost in the end because he believed that this was the right decision in his heart. So he tried to get the decision made to and persuade the members into selling Rose Hill, and it didn't come off, which means he had no other choice, I don't think anyway, to do what he did. And it's coming before his term finished in January 2026. But if you ask me, I think he definitely had passion for the job, and he thought in his heart that this was the best for racing. And as he pointed out there, I believe history will judge the decision to pursue the vision as having been the right one. And we won't know if he was on the right path or not until later on, in 10, 15 years. But it's obviously a job for a new chairman to come on board. I don't know if the board will change, but it's an important job to be the chairman of the ATC, and it'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds. But I wish Peter the very best of luck in the future. And he tried his best, and he's made the decision to move on. And it'll be interesting to see what the ATC do now. And the other big news overnight as well, and this was coming from Racing Queensland, and I'll read their press release that was announced about just at the start of the State of Origin, basically last night. And it's regarding, as we had Jason Scott, who's the CEO of the Queensland Greyhound Racing Club, say to us yesterday that the stewards would inspect the track last night around 6 o'clock, and this is the decision that has unfolded. And this is a media release from Racing Queensland, and it reads, Racing Queensland advises the remedial work of the Q2 Parklands track has come to a conclusion. On Monday, the Queensland Greyhound Racing Club oversaw the refurbishment of the track, which was graded and power harrowed to a depth of 150 mils. When you talk to the experts, that's a lot. That's probably as deep as you can get. Queensland Racing Integrity Commission stewards have since conducted an inspection of the track and are satisfied with the progress of the remedial works to date. Accordingly, a further inspection of the track is scheduled for tomorrow evening. On the condition that this further inspection is satisfactory to the stewards, trials will be conducted on Thursday morning. All greyhound participating in the club trials will be eligible for the race meeting injury scheme. So that's the situation there with the Parklands track. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But, we'll keep a close eye on that. We've got Will Larkin, who's ready to go now. We'll catch up with Will Larkin here on Giddy Up Stable Mail to kick off proceedings.
Now on Giddy Up, it's time for Stable Mail.
And Will Larkin joins us on this Thursday morning ahead of Caulfield on Saturday. G'day, Will. Thanks for your time, mate.
G'day, Gareth. How are you going?
Good, thank you, mate. The stable's been on fire of late.
Yeah, it's been going really well. Obviously, we hit the scoreboard in the city, which is obviously a really good. The team's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, Marble Nine's been a beauty, hasn't he?
Yeah, he actually absolutely has. He's a horse that's always had a lot of ability, but he's just taken a while to work out, get things right. He's not the easiest horse to train, to be honest. So, I think we've found something that works for him now, and he's loving running down the straight at the moment.
I guess that's extra satisfying. I've talked to Troy about him as well, that he can be a little bit of a handful. So that property that you got where he goes to in between races and then just trying to work him out to get the best out of him has definitely paid dividends.
Yeah, definitely. He's just in his track work very hard to control. Just wants to get out there and run, and it's probably a good asset to have in a sprinter. But it just makes it very hard to juggle how much he's done and whether he's done too much or not enough. So we're very lucky to have the farm there that allows us to freshen him right up, and we don't do a lot with him in between runs, and it seems to be working. So he's going really well, and he seems to have come out of that run really well as well. So still haven't made up our mind whether we go to the Ori Star or not, but it's still a chance.
Can you get a winner on Saturday? It looks like it'd be maybe a soft 5. There's a little bit of rain around. It's a good 4 at the moment, so it'd be interesting to see how much rain we do get in Melbourne, but we're on a good 4 at the moment. The rails and the true. Supercilious goes around from an inside gate. Looks a nice race for this galloper.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've just put out the track rating as a soft 6 just before it comes through. So they must have got a bit of rain there. I'd say it'd be around that 6 or 7. There's a little bit more rain to come over the next few days, but not too much. So I don't think we've got enough drying weather to get it back to a 4, but it'll probably stay around that range. Supercilious, going really well. I thought her first up run was excellent. Second up, I was little bit disappointed. I think she maybe off a long spell might have just knocked up a touch second up after a good run first up. So stepping up to 1400 is going to suit. She draws nice in barrier 1. Craig Williams on and no weight on her back. It looks a really good race for her.
Bewitchery's in the same race for Lukey Cartwright.
Yeah, she was going really well previous to her last start where she missed the kick and it was pretty much race all over from there. Got a long way back. Didn't want to settle. 3 wide, no cover. But still rounded off the race really well. So she gets him below the minimum with the claim. 51 kilos. Draws soft. If she begins well, she'll be, probably leading up this field and very hard to catch with a weight like that.
You've got Ungawa as one of my favourite horses going around in race 6. I guess Ungawa has to find a little bit come Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. He's been very disappointing of late and probably 1200, 2 runs there, but just been that touch sharp. So stepping up to the 1400 looks to suit. Down in grade, he hasn't been in this grade for a very long time. So with the claim, he gets in nice at the weights. He's drawn a touch sticky there, but he's a get back and run on horse, so it's not going to worry him too much. It's just a matter of if we get cover. Hopefully we're not the one caught wide, but he seems like he's come on a lot since that last run. He jumped out last Friday at Werribee and was very good, so if he can recapture his best form, he's definitely a hope.
And it's a tough draw for Hill Rip in the same race, even though he's racing really well.
Yeah, that was a bit of a kick in the pants. I thought he was probably going to be our best leading into the Saturday, and you get a draw like that and it makes things probably a bit tough. So there's not much around for him in terms of backup options for a couple of weeks, so we'll take our place. We'll probably just have to get a lot further back than he usually does from that draw. The 1400 metre start doesn't give you much of a choice at Caulfield because you're straight on the bend, so you don't want to be covering too much ground wide. So he'll be back in the field, 3 wide running line, and hopefully they're running on. He's one that's definitely going to appreciate a soft track. He loves getting his toe in, so he's come out of that last start very, very well. He's improved again, and I think he's going quite well.
Let's hope they're getting off the fence by then. And then you got Sue Sensation. Can Sue Sensation win again?
Yeah, I think so. I think his last start was probably the best run of his career, I reckon. Yeah. He rated really well. Dan O'Sullivan stuff put him as his best run he's ever put in, and I think he's got further improvement. He's never won at the 1400 before, but we've had excuses every time we've tried him. I think this is the first time we're going in 100%. Looks a right race, gets him with no weight. Jamie Malamon, who's obviously didn't take her long to hit the scoreboard after a holiday, so she's a gun rider for him. From barrier 2, you suggested he's going to get a decent run in, and I think he's definitely winning hope again.
If I gave you $100, what would you do with it this weekend, mate?
I would have been on Hill Rip, but I'd say.
We just lost you. We lost you again, mate. This is the only part everybody wants to listen to.
I'll go Zoo Sensation.
All right.
Sorry, Zoo Sensation would be the best bet.
All right, beautiful. We might do that one. So if I gave you $100, mate, what would you do with it this weekend?
I'd say I'd go $20 on Hill Rip and the 80 on Zoo Sensation.
Beautiful, brother. You go and keep on dominating like you are. We appreciate your time here on Giddy Up.
Thanks, Gareth.
Well done to Will. Great to catch up with Will. He's doing a great job with the Corstons at the moment, but he's a good young kid, and he's having success with a team that's been around for a long time and have had sustained success. But I think Will's added a lot to their organisation, and they've had a great winter so far. 20 minutes past 8. Just recapping that story I was just talking about regarding the greyhound. So Racing Queensland has advised that Saturday's rescheduled Brisbane Cup feature meeting has now been abandoned. So Queensland Racing Integrity Commission stewards conducted an inspection with an independent track assessor and determined that it was not suitable for tomorrow's trials to be conducted. As a result, the Brisbane Cup feature meeting will not proceed as it was contingent on the successful staging of those trials ahead of Saturday. As a matter of priority, RQ and the Queensland Greyhound Racing Club will now prioritise delivering a consistent and sustainable racing surface before meetings are rescheduled on the Q2 Parklands. Under RQ's abandoned race meeting compensation procedure, unpaid prize money for Saturday night schedule features will be evenly distributed between the connections of the eligible greyhounds. RQ will explore alternate programming options for upcoming meetings while the Q2 Parklands undergoes further work. So that's unfortunate. So no Brisbane Cup, no Queensland Cup on Saturday. That meeting's now been abandoned. And I think all those participants or connections there involved in that $1 million race, the Brisbane Cup, I think they get $125,000 each because that race doesn't go ahead. We'll take a break. On the other side of it, Joe Pride will join us.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up. It's 8:27. Gareth Hall with you on this Thursday morning. Joe Pride, Will Hayes, Lindsay Smith, Peter Blanche has got some story to tell us a little later on today with his galloper who will be going around in the Sir John Monash Stakes on Saturday afternoon. It was a galloper, yes, that won his maiden at Kangaroo Island, which I don't think would have happened on too many of occasions with the horse heading towards a feature race in Melbourne. So looking forward to catching up with Pete a little later on in the morning as well. But let's take an early news and we'll come back with Will Hayes or Joe Pride. Lindsay Smith isn't far away as well.
Powered by Signet, making SEN news this hour. Queensland has won back the Origin Shield, beating New South Wales 24-12 in last night's Game 3 decider in Sydney. Qantas has revealed more details about the cyber attack, which saw data from 5.7 million customers stolen. Telstra is wielding the axe with 550 jobs to go. Australia's rental market is flagging, giving millions of people a reprieve from constant hikes. And Hamas says it has agreed to release 10 hostages under ongoing efforts to reach a ceasefire with Israel in Gaza. sen.com.au sport is coming up next. Origin glory for Queensland, defying the odds after losing the series opener. Cam Munster, inspirational in the 24-12 win over the Blues, just days after losing his father, Coach Billy Slater, amazed by the bravery of his skipper.
That's as courageous and brave as I've ever seen. I lost my dad in January. I know what it's like. I know how it feels. I don't know how he did it.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up with Gareth Hall this Thursday morning. We're halfway through Giddy Up Stable Mail. This man's on fire at the moment. He's training winners for fun. And he joins us now from Sydney. Joe Pride, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Good morning, yeah.
What happened to New South Wales last night?
Diabolical.
Yeah, unbelievable. Can you believe it?
Lost another unlosable game. So,
yeah.
No, it's disappointing when you look like you've got the best team on paper continually and just keep losing. It's I don't know. We're going to need to change a few things, obviously. So.
Yeah. Anyway, they need you coaching the way you're training. And we might ask you about one of your favourites, I would imagine, who goes to Caulfield on Saturday in flight. They just updated the track conditions there. They had a bit of rain overnight, so it's a soft 6 as we speak. I reckon we might stay around that range with a little bit of rain in Melbourne today. Your thoughts about her chances heading into the Sir John Monash Stakes?
Yeah, with a track condition like 6, very confident.
Yeah.
She's a very good mare, and she's in great form at the moment. You know, there's that unknown. I mean, I've travelled her already, so I would think she'll travel well. there's the unknown about Caulfield, but I've had a lot of luck bringing my sprinters to Caulfield over the years because I think it's a pretty easy track to get around over the sprint trips, and she's got a versatile there. She's won at Doomben. She's won on a range of tracks, so very happy with her.
She's a flying arty, man. She just keeps on getting better. She's come back better this preparation.
Yeah, I think it's the breeding. I think they all do that.
Yeah, it's Furu done that, I reckon.
I don't mind flying arty. I think he's an underrated sort of state. He hasn't got a big commercial presence, and they're not sexy as the sales, but good horses, good tough horses.
King Secret was tough and good on speed there the other day. What do you make of his chances there at Rose Hill, or Randwick, I should say, on Saturday?
Randwick, yeah. Very good, very good. I had a decision to make, bring him back to 1,000 or leave him at the 11. I decided to leave him at the 11 against his own age. I think racing at your own age, you've got to take advantage of that and finish out his 3-year-old year while just think it's the right option for him. He's going along super. Been really happy with him all prep, and no reason why he can't win again on Saturday.
What do you make of Aberlour? I thought Aberlour was pretty good on pace there the other day.
Yep, much better. Hope she's turned the corner because she's a dual black type winner in New Zealand. I know, New Zealand form, it's easy to sort of scoff at it, but the way she was winning the races she won there, she should have come across here and done it by now. She hasn't been able to do that, but I do think the other day was a nice step in the right direction for her.
We were laughing the other day because you gave the winner a good push in the winner stakes last week, but a few of us were all on, a few of the experts here on Giddy Up were all on Cool Jakey, and they were thinking, why wouldn't you scratch the Estadio and keep allow Cool Jakey to get into the race? But you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, look, I mean, you find yourself in those situations occasionally, and you got decisions to make. But look, there was a race. There was always this race here for this week for Cool Jakey, whereas the Estadio couldn't have run in this race. His benchmark's too high. So look, I was hoping to get him in there, but he might have changed the complexion of that race if he was in there. So, but happy with him going into this week. Good consistent horse, 1,400 about his go if the track stays. The wetter the track stays, the better his chance. Yeah,
so that's Cool Jakey in race number 9. And Testator Silence goes around in the same race, but it's got a tough draw over the 1,400 metres.
Yeah, he's a pretty tough horse. Hasn't won for a while. That is always a concern, but I think he's racing pretty consistently. I wouldn't think he'd be too far away.
Yeah. Do you go to the Grafton Cup with Headley Grange on Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. He'll go to Grafton, and he's going super, really well. The weight, when you look at it initially, 62 kilos.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a relative thing, isn't it? He's got to give the same amount of weight to the Danes he was going to, and most of these horses are really poorly weighted in this race because if they were carrying the weights they should be carrying, they'd be down on 40 kilos. So he should be fine. He's a good, strong horse. He's carried weight in the past, run a mile in the past. I'd like to think he'll be qualified for the big dance after Sunday.
Some good chances all round. If I gave you $100, Joe, what would you do with it?
We're going. We'll go the all up, and we'll go in flight into Headley Grange.
So that's race 8, number 6 in flight there at Caulfield on Saturday, into Headley Grange in the Grafton Cup on Sunday. Well done on the weekend again, mate. Good luck this weekend. We appreciate your time as always, Joe.
Great. Thank you very much.
There's Joe Pride. We'll take a break. Will Friedman will be joining us. Not Will Friedman. Will Hayes will join us next.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
This is Giddy Up with Gareth Hall. Great to be with you on this Thursday morning. Giddy Up Stable Mail. Will Hayes joins us now. G'day, Will.
G'day, how are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Aaron Morrison will join us a little later on. But good news, I reckon, for racing in Victoria with the announcement that prize money will stay the same. There's increases to some of the bigger races like the Melbourne Cup, the Cox Plate and the Caulfield Cup. But I think more importantly for all the owners out there, or the majority of the owners anyways, that prize money for maidens will go up in every maiden in the state, up $5,000.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's so good. It's very good for the industry, and I think the pivotal point of maidens going up is just really good for all the horses competing in Victoria.
You've got some big chances at Caulfield on Saturday. The team's going great guns as always. We'll start off in the first race over the 1,100 metres. You'll be saddling up Gin Spirit, who showed a lot last prep. What can you tell us about Gin Spirit this time around?
Yeah, she did show a lot last prep, and as a result, she's obviously resuming in quite a nice race. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the weather does. We're predicting a soft, rain-affected track, and she's never been on it before, but her track work suggests that she does handle it, but you never know until you get to race day. But she's prepped up nicely, and I think the favourite Signature Scent looks good, and hopefully we'll be making a race of it.
Where's Bold Bastille at the moment?
Well, Bastille, she's in race 2.
Yes. Is she going any good, Will?
Well, I think she got a bit free running first up down the straight.
Yeah.
She's a funny one. If she gets back to what her best form was, would love it to be 1,000, but it's obviously 1,100. But we've got the cross nose band on. We're getting well with the claim, and with the soft draw, we're just going to try to keep her in a rhythm as much as possible. So I'm of the belief that she has the ability to run better than her odds suggest.
So that's a good push there for Bold Bastille. I know there's a lot of fans out for her. In race 6, Vale Mountain was a good winner there the other day. Can he do it again?
Yeah, I think he's in the category of the wetter the better. So if the more it rains, the more confident we'll get. But Dan knows him well, barrier 1 as well. Probably not ideal, but we'll still be able to hold a prominent position slightly closer than we normally do. But riding him with cover has certainly turned his form around.
Yeah, and that inside gate could be an advantage. It may not, but I reckon it might be an advantage still there on Saturday with the railback and the true.
I hope so. I think the key to Vale Mountain, his success has been certainly getting a bum and not over-racing early, and Barrier 1 certainly has that advantage where you can just jump and drop your hands.
What about...
blend around you.
Yeah, what about Lada Shah? Can he be an each-way hope in that same race?
He's flying in the morning. He's been very happy with his work, but again, his record on the soft, on the other hand, is terrible. So he's had 3 cracks at it for 1 placing, but he's going particularly well, and there's not really any backups in mind for him. So we're sort of each way in that race. Yep. The wetter it is, the more confident we are with Vale Mountain, the more dry it is, probably lean towards Lada Shah.
Ryan Burke, he's knocking on the door, Will. His day will come.
Let's hope. He's got a little bit of a sticky gate again with Barrier 9, but he's in terrific order. I thought that run from the wide gate at Caulfield last start, it was just a really honest run, which is what Reinberg is. He puts his best foot forward every time he steps out, and I think the stablemate as well is going particularly well too. He's come through a tick-over jump out in good order, run, Harry, run.
Yes.
And it'll be very interesting to see where they settle on the run, because I think that'll be the main determining factor as to where they finish.
The blinkers did the trick for Harry there the other day.
Yeah, he's got very good form in the blinkers.
Yes.
We're expecting that to have the desired effect. So thought he was the winner. He just peaked a little bit late, but he's rock up fit and ready for a strong 1,400 on Saturday.
Your footy form's been superb, and it's probably one of the Lindsay Park's greatest feats this winter, especially when you've gone back and played in the VFL. But I reckon Aztec State's outdone you. That performance first up off what he come off was amazing, really.
Yeah, no way. Aztec State and my footy should never be held in the
Yes.
same conversations, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I was a genuine benchmark 64 gelding as a footballer, and got moved on to weaker jurisdictions, that's for sure.
No, I would have claimed you. I would have claimed you of recent times. I probably would have got you cheap. I reckon I could get you back into a Group 1 race the way you played there the other day. You could definitely get a game for Carlton now, Will. Definitely. You'd be nearly first pick.
No, I tell you, I'm expired milk. I'm okay in a fridge, can go in a coffee, but you wouldn't want me. I'll give you the hot tip. But no, Aztec State, obviously a very tricky barrier 19. But he's a horse that gets back and runs on. And his win first up after, I think it was 353 days off, was just outstanding. So he's a horse of high ability, and he's very exciting to have in the stable prepping towards a big spring.
What about Angry Skies in the same race?
Yeah, he's another horse that gets back and runs on. He hasn't got the most terrific soft form. He's had 8 starts on it for, I think, 3 seconds. So he is consistent, but we'll just have a look at how that race is sort of going as we get closer and what the weather's doing. But he'll get back and run on. And I think 1700, never really been out that far. But the way he's getting back and hitting the line, I think it should only be advantageous. I thought his run at Flemington was huge.
The mailbag team can find it. Yeah, I agree. The mailbag team can find a tried horse. I thought Katsu was very good the other day. Second start for you guys, and you head up to Sydney.
Yeah, he's got a big weight, and we're taking a couple kilos off with the claimer. But he's a horse that only knows one way. He's just handlebars down, foot to the floor, and it's a big drop in grade. So, which is explained by the weight. But I think with the claim, he's a big, powerful bugger, and the 63 kilos won't worry him. So it looks to be a suitable race, and he's got the good draw on barrier 1. So he'll find the rail and rail like a greyhound.
Will, if I gave you $100, what would you do with it this week?
$100, I'd go Run Harry, Run the Nose. Beautiful.
Race 7, number 5. Disappointing. Ballarat's off today.
Yeah, it must be very, very wet up there. So I'm grateful that they made the decision before 7:30 and not abandoning it by the time that we got all the horses on the floats and standing in the stalls. So,
yes, we'll chase that story up today. Early the better.
Yeah, the earlier the better. That was I'm very thankful that the club made the quick, early, decisive call.
Scenic Point, how's this 2-year-old going? One of our listeners wants to know.
Very good. She's just heading towards the first trial next week, but her work at the farm has been very pleasing, and really excited to see her first jump out.
They tell me Lindsay Park's got a few home affairs. He was a very popular first season sire at the sales there this year. How have you found the home affairs early doors?
Yeah, like their dad, they're very sharp. We've had a couple of exciting ones rocket up the hill in their orientation prep, and they've just gone for a quick spell. And then we're going to start tightening the screws a little bit as they go through their first preparation with us. So from the early looks, it's been very exciting.
Beautiful. Hey, you go and get them this weekend, Will. We appreciate your time. You playing footy?
No, having the week off. I go best with a month between runs and a jump out. So I space my runs in the VFL.
With the blinkers on like Run Harry, Run, you're hard to beat. Good on you, brother. Thanks, mate.
Good. Thank you. Take care, man.
There's Will Hayes. Let's take a break. We'll come back with Lindsay Smith.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Back to Giddy Up. It's 5 minutes to 9. This is Giddy Up's Stable Mails. About time to catch up now with our great mate, the one and the only Lindsay Smith. Is flying at the moment. G'day, Linz.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't know about flying, but you're keeping the wolves off at bay anyway. No. But all good here.
Now, you've decided to take your star mare these days. Will be going to Caulfield on Saturday. Yellow Sam, you scratched her from Flemington on finals day there last week. How's she trained on since?
No, she's fine. She's on the Friday morning down the beach. I asked the rider who generally rides her how she felt me. He just gave me a long, before he said sweet, he sort of was balked a bit. So I thought he wasn't 100% happy. So this race was here. It looks like it's going to rain. Claim offer, a little bit softer race. So we thought this may be a better option for her.
And she just keeps on winning this preparation, Linz.
Yeah, well, she's had a few good rides. She's had good barriers, good track conditions. Sometimes things go pear-shaped in preparations, but after she had a little hiccup with her sickness, she's everything's sort of fallen into place. And tomorrow, the jockey's in form, claims 3, barrier's good. Looks like a little bit of rain's coming. So, and the same sort of field. So she's ended up to her ears.
How good is she?
I don't think she's won a Group 3, but it was a soft one.
Yeah.
So I think that's about her level.
Yeah.
A listed race.
What about if Sir Atlas gets a start in race 9?
Yeah, he's a chance to get a start as long as it rains, and then some people come out, and a couple of chances I see are drawn very wide. So he's been a little bit disappointing for the amount of ability he's got, but he's quite soft. He has a run, and then he worries a bit, and you got to treat him with ulcer guard. And, he's just a little bit soft. So, but the ability's there, and he too likes a heavy track. So, if it turns that way for him, he's a better chance, especially with no weight.
Yeah, I reckon there's a little bit of rain around today. We're at a soft 6 at the moment. I don't know if it's raining on Saturday. What would be the perfect conditions for you, Lindsay, with your horses?
Heavy 8.
Heavy.
Well,
I don't know if I can do that for you.
Well, I'm no Jane Bunn, but there's a lot of seagulls flying around me here at Geelong. So when they come in, it seems to rain quite a lot. So I'm tipping it rains. There you go.
Beautiful. So you think we'll get to a heavy track. So both Yellow Sam and Satlas will be suited. And then I reckon you'd make a really good weather reporter. Let's go out to Uncle Lindsay for a weather report. You'll look around and see if there's any seagulls and then report from there.
Yeah, I'll go in the American one. I'll come out with the Speedos on.
Hey, I'd watch. The ratings will go straight through the roof, Linz.
Yeah, it'll be adult porn. Okay.
What about if I gave you $100? What would you do with it this weekend from a putting perspective?
Okay, well, I'm going to say just have an all-up place. My two at Caulfield. Yeah.
Yep. Race 7, number 3, Yellow Sam, into race 9, number 13, Sir Atlas. You keep on dominating, Linz. Any winners at Geelong on Friday or Mount Gambier?
No. I don't think so. They're a limited bunch.
All right, mate. Giddy up. Appreciate your time.
Giddy up. Bye.
There's a great Lindsay Smith there. So he's confident with his 2 runners at Caulfield. A place all up race 7, number 3, into race 9, number 13. Time for a break. In fact, we'll take the news. It's right on 9 o'clock on the other side of it. We'll continue on our stable mail here on this Thursday morning. It's great to have your company. Giddy Up, brought to you by Bet365, because it's never ordinary when it's brought to you by Bet365. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Powered by Signet. Good morning, I'm Adam Pont with SEN News. There are fresh calls for Anthony Albanese to meet with Donald Trump as the US president enforces his latest tariff proposals. Trump flagging 200% tariffs on pharmaceuticals. It's Australia's second biggest export to the States, behind beef. National Senator Bridget McKenzie telling Nine the PM needs to be firm in his negotiations.
It's about getting the right deal, not undermining our PBS, but also recognising we're one of the world leaders in medical research. We're really good at this stuff. Is there a way we can do it better without undermining our, status?
The man behind that ugly message to Michael Voss has been identified. Nine Papers reporting the AFL's Integrity Unit has found out who it is. It's apparently not serious enough to warrant criminal charges, but security may still be increased around tonight's Blues-Lions match. Telstra has confirmed it's cutting hundreds of jobs. It will swing the axe on 550 positions from across the company. The telco is insisting the cuts are not a result of using AI technology. A landmark court ruling has found Russia responsible for downing flight MH17, which was carrying 38 Australians. The European Court of Human Rights issuing a verdict that Russia and its agents killed 298 passengers and crew when it was shot down in 2014. The boss of X, formerly Twitter, Linda Yaccarino, says she is stepping down after 2 rocky years running Elon Musk's social media platform. SEN.com.au Sport is next. Man of the match Tom Dearden has paid tribute to his skipper Cam Munster, who played a fantastic game just days after losing his father in the Origin 24-12 win over the Blues.
To see what he had to go through during this week and for him to turn up and play like he did for us last night, it just shows the character and how much Queensland means to him. And yeah, we're pretty lucky to have him as our captain and a part of our team.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up. Gareth Hall with you. We are streaming live every day on our SEN app and also on our Facebook page on SENtrack and the SENtrack YouTube channel. So it's great to have your company. We're doing that every day, all thanks to Bet365. And you can listen to us on your local SENtrack dial or the SEN app. One of the great stories on Saturday is Legani, if you ask me. Legani goes around in the Sir John Monash Stakes, which is the feature race there at Caulfield on Saturday. Paul Gatt takes the ride. She made her debut, or she won her maiden. And she did it nicely back at Morfordville on the 27th of July. So she's been a good horse for a long time. In fact, she won her maiden at, I thought she went out to Kangaroo Island, but she's a chance at an each-way price there on Saturday. And Peter Blanche joins us now. G'day, Pete. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, good morning.
How is your horse, Legani, going into this feature?
Yeah, no, it's a good time to come over. She had a first up run after some time away from racing, and has got some fitness benefit out of that. Their action's great and attitude's great. And, this time last year on these sort of tracks, she was racing really well. So good time to come over and find out where we're at.
She has come a long way. Like, she won her first race, of course, at Kangaroo Island. You wouldn't have too many maiden winners at Kangaroo Island coming to Caulfield for a feature race.
No, but we take our horses there every year because it's a nice, when they're young 3-year-olds, especially immature ones, it's a nice trip away. And it didn't go unnoticed over there. I remember waking up on the Sunday morning and getting a phone call from a big stable over there saying if she was for sale.
Okay.
So they were onto her then. And, since then, of course, she's gone on to win in the city and then eventually Stakes Grade.
What were you thinking heading towards that maiden at Kangaroo Island back in February of 24?
Happy to take, I think it was $3, something like that.
Yeah.
We were just sort of focusing on that. And as I said, get her away and grow up. She was quite immature mentally in those early days. And those trips away do them the world of good. But yeah, certainly, did we think Stakes Grade? Probably not, but she just kept improving through that whole preparation.
So what's your expectations with her on Saturday?
Oh, obviously, we're coming into a much harder race as she contested before. As I said, I can only have her as best as she can be, and that's sort of why we're happy to come over. Probably going out, happy to say that she'll run very, very well. But yeah, no real expectation other than I hope she runs well, because the plan would be to come over there, especially for mares races over the springtime.
Well, that is exciting, mate. Do you have a winner for us at Murray Bridge on Saturday?
Got a mare in form called Extra Hot.
Yes.
Who's, I think she's run 2 of her last 3, and I think she should have won last time. She just didn't get through at the right time and got held up all the way down the straight. Mare's in form. She's, she's in the market. I think that market's $7 the field. So she's one of those at the top of it. So something each way wouldn't be Australian. The other mare is drawn a bit wide, so we're going to run, but we're going to ride cold and ride for luck at a big price. But she's going the right way this preparation, and I'd look for her after a run or two.
We play the game, mate. If I gave you $100 this weekend, what would you do with it?
I'd put $100 to place on Lingani and hope she lobs into a place that I don't know what the price would be, but $7 or $8 would be my guess.
I love them. Just having a look now with Bet365. I reckon she's around $7 there on Saturday. So I love the confidence there with yourself and Lingani. I'm just having a look now as it comes up on my Bet365 app on Saturday. Caulfield, Sir John Monash Stakes. I can get you $8.50, mate. There you go.
Let's bang it on.
Beautiful. Well, I'm doing it right now. $100, Bet365, $8.50 Lagani, horse number 11 in the feature race, which is race number 8. Good on you, mate. We appreciate your time, and go and get him, Pete.
Thanks, mate.
There's Peter Blanche there. It's 8 minutes past 9. We're about to catch up with Johnny O'Shea. He's not far away. He's got some strong chances there, along with Tommy Charlton on Saturday, and I've been looking forward to catching up with Johnny. Is he ready to go? We might take a break and we'll catch up with Johnny O'Shea next.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
We're going through Giddy Up stable mail. We're about to catch up with a rising star on the training ranks. Well, he's not a rising star anymore, Mickey Grantham. He's an established star. He's building some team and teaming up, of course, with the Cerise and White, Bob and Sandra Peters. And they've had a wonderful time of it, and they can continue on their domination of these feature 3-year-old races anyway over the winter months with the running of the Aquanita Stakes. Acadia Park will be going around on Saturday, so looking forward to seeing what that galloper can do there for Mickey Grantham. And I reckon he's ready to go now, is he, Mickey G? He's not far away. Opportunistic's not in the Aquanita. I thought he was in the Aquanita, Opportunistic, but Acadia Park will be representing Mickey Grantham now. And they've also got a couple of other chances throughout that meeting, but it's now time for the Western Whip Around.
The Western Whip Around. Tune in to Racing WA TV on 7+, your ultimate destination for everything racing in the West.
G'day, Mickey Grantham. Welcome back to Giddy Up.
Good morning, Mr. Gareth Hall.
What's happening? Opportunistic. I thought he might be going around the Aquanita.
Horses, sir.
Yeah. Is he okay?
He's all good. He just didn't gallop that flash with me yesterday, and I think maybe that run had seen him after when he won the Guineas. So when the boss and I spoke, I think it was just best to sort of look after his future and not have to push him.
He's done enough anyway, hasn't he? He's had a great prep.
Yeah, he did. It's his first racing prep and a couple of trials on top of that, so he's probably done a good job.
And you've got Acadia Park. He's in good form. He's the son of Ocean Park. This is his toughest test to date. Do you think he's up to it?
Yeah, it is his toughest test. He's been going around, and I thought his last win when he sort of done it the hard way, Gareth, in that mile race, and the leader sort of set a good tempo, and he was able to sort of fight, and a couple of stragglers late tried to get him, but I don't really see much tempo in that race either, and he's got good gate speed, so he'll jump, and I guess he'll be on speed in that race, and just hopefully we're not leading up horses like Redback Flyer and Elite Missile. That's going to be the only problem. Yeah,
do you think he'll appreciate stepping up in trip?
Oh, he's going to. His gallop yesterday was, I gave him a real good gallop and only come in with a heart rate of 78, so it looks like I have to gallop him again. But he's got that sort of figure about him, and he's a big, tall, lanky, sort of athletic horse. So he's sort of in the right spot at the moment.
Bob and Sandra Peters know how to win at Oaks. Can they win at Belmont Oaks with Lillian, who goes around in that feature race there on Saturday at Bunbury?
Yeah, she's a hard one for me, Gareth. She's she promises the world to me, and she's not delivering much for me, and she's been a little bit up and down in her races. She's I think she's just still learning the caper. I took the blinkers off and put the visors on, and I galloped her in her yesterday, and she was a fair bit more switched on, but she just comes on and off the bridle at sort of crucial stages of the race. So I think stepping up in the trip, I think it's going to be, it'll be something to look at. I'm not going to say that she's going to be anywhere, but it'll be something to look forward to.
Celebrity Prince and Regal Statue go around over the 1,400 metres in race 8? Yeah,
well, Celebrity Prince, I kept thinking he was a sprinter, and every time I kept stepping him up, he's getting better. So I think to the 14, I know we've got a wide barrier, but he sort of doesn't get mobile early. So being out there sort of can probably give him a kick in the guts. They don't go as hard early in the 14. He ran into walls late in that 1,200 last start, and he's come on since, and I'd assume Regal Statute will sort of play the shortcut game, and she'll probably hopefully pop out in front of him.
If I gave you $100, what would you do with it this weekend, Mickey G?
Straight out on Arcadia Park to Sir SJ and Brad up.
Beautiful. Love it. SJ, he's on fire at the moment. He keeps on running second to you. He's taught you too much. Mickey G.
No, he has. He has been a big mentor of mine since moving to this new property, and he's actually come out here and helped me figure out my straight track and all the other stuff. So it's actually it's bitten him in the arse, really, hasn't it?
Oh, he's a great. He'd get it. He'd be chuffed. I reckon he'd get a thrill out of that, even though you're beating him. As long as you don't beat him when he backs one.
No, I think I'm up to a couple of bottles of Blue Label, and he keeps reminding me about it.
And what about at Northam today? Any winners?
I think Midnight Star finds another good race for herself. Yep. Obviously, I stepped her from the 12 to the mile, and she ran out of condition in that last run. And having the run over the trip now, hopefully she reflects the $1.75 that she is. And
what about Clinton Johnston Porter? He's a hard man to catch up with these days. I think he's hard to get on the phone. We tried to get him on the phone when he rode 4 winners, but then I was just filtering through social media the other day, as you do these days, Mickey G, and he's become a model. He's looking down the barrel of the camera. He's got this new horseware gear that he's been promoting, and he's lapping it up.
Well, he doesn't wear it when he comes out to my place. I'm lucky to get him to wear tracksuit pants and high socks. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but he's obviously just bought a new place, so he's mucking around with all his big toys and whatnot. So he sort of goes MIA till race day.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. I thought, Jesus, CJP, he's there. He's modelling. I think he was at your property, had all this new gear on. He was looking down the barrel of the camera. He got his mow done perfectly for the photo shoot.
Moustache.
Yeah. He's become the pin-up boy for Australian racing these days. Good on you, Mickey boy. Thanks for that, mate.
Beautiful.
Go and get him this weekend.
Anytime. Thanks, bud.
There's Mickey Grantham. We'll take an early news, and then we'll come back with
Powered by Signet, making SEN news this hour. An emotionally charged victory for Queensland in last night's Origin decider, beating New South Wales 24-12. Freeing hostages held in Gaza and working towards a ceasefire deal, the two main topics of the meeting between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Telstra has confirmed it's cutting hundreds of jobs. It will swing the axe on 550 positions from across the company. A landmark court ruling has found Russia responsible for downing flight MH17, which was carrying 38 Australians. And the boss of X, formerly Twitter, Linda Yaccarino, says she's stepping down after 2 rocky years running Elon Musk's social media platform. Man of the match, Tom Dearden, has paid tribute to his skipper Cam Munster, who played a fantastic game just days after losing his father in the Origin 24-12 win over the Blues.
To see what he had to go through during this week, and for him to turn up and play like he did for us last night, it just shows the character and how much Queensland means to him. And yeah, we're pretty lucky to have him as our captain and a part of our team.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENTrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up. You can tune into Racing WA TV on 7 Plus, your ultimate destination for everything racing in the West. Just repeating the best for Michael Grantham at Bunbury on Saturday. He's with Acadia Park in the Aquanita Stakes. That's that feature 3-year-old staying event over the 2,000 metres. No opportunistic, the star 3-year-old by So You Think, who's been unbeaten for Bob and Sandra Peters and Mickey Grantham, just didn't gallop as well as they wanted to or wanted him to this week, so they decided to put him into the paddock. He's an exciting galloper, so they didn't want to take any risk with him. But Mickey's confident with Acadia Park that he believes he can do the job there on Saturday in that feature race. The news out of Victoria today at Ballarat that Sportsbet Ballarat, that meeting's been postponed or abandoned because there was surface water in parts of the track. So in other parts it was okay, but there was certain parts that was difficult. Or the stewards and the track staff there at Ballarat said that there was surface water on the track, so they decided to call it off nice and early so participants didn't have to travel to Ballarat because the races were called off before scratchings. But Daniel Moore joins us. He's a jockey that travels all around the state competing at these venues, and I've got him on the show to ask him about these abandonments that have been happening these days on a frequent basis in Victoria. G'day, Daniel. Thanks for your time here on Giddy Up.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Your thoughts on all this?
It's frustrating, incredibly frustrating for everyone involved, really, from Racing Victoria right down to the person that cleans the floats out at the end of the day. It's costly. It puts everyone out, and it essentially costs everyone money.
So have you talked to many people from Ballarat today regarding why this meeting was called off?
Look, we have to be, we're super confident, I think, as participants that stewards are sort of making the right call and track managers are making the right call in regards to abandoned meetings. But, to go from a soft 6 to an abandoned meeting with 5 mil of rain overnight seems strange, but obviously there's reasoning behind it, and stewards made the call for safety. But, it becomes a bit of a trend of late, and it seems, in the last 5 to 8 years that we're getting a lot of meetings abandoned. I'm not sure there's one real reason why.
So from a jockey's perspective, when the meetings get called off and the jockeys get asked, so what's the process there?
So first of all, a bit of a disclaimer. We, contrary to popular belief, we don't get paid for our rides should the meeting be abandoned.
Yeah.
So we'll get paid for the rides that we have before the meeting's abandoned and for the race that we've weighed out for if they call them off after that. So that's just a quick one to clear that up. But obviously, if there's a concern with the track in any way, shape or form, then that concern's raised with the stewards. Stewards and jockeys deliberate. And to cut a long story short, if it comes down to a point where the track is thought to be unsafe or unsuitable for racing, then a democratic vote takes place where the majority of the vote, to ride or not to ride, ends up, calling the meeting off or proceeding. So I believe that was a system that came in place a couple of years ago that all the key shareholders and stakeholders of the industry agreed to. But it can often be almost a split decision.
Do you think that's the right process?
On a personal level, I don't. However, all the key stakeholders have voted with that and said that that's the way forward. So on a personal level, I don't think it is. But we're in a democratic
How would you go
society.
about it then? How would you go about it?
Well, I think, I'm showing my age a bit, but there was a system in place whereas if you wanted to ride, you could ride. It had to be the vast majority, pretty much a unanimous decision for the meeting to be abandoned, and that seemed to sort of work reasonably well. And furthermore, even if you delve further back into the old days, if you wanted to ride, you could ride. The meeting could proceed if they had sufficient riders. And those that felt it was unsafe could go home without any penalty or anything like that. So we may not be at that stage in these modern times, but that's how things used to go on.
Do you think stewards are now being too cautious regarding calling these races off because they're they're worried that the jockeys will get to a race meeting like today and see the surface water on the track and call it off?
Well, I don't want to preempt the stewards' jobs because they've got enough on their plate as it is. It's quite a difficult job. But I would hate to think that, it would creep into anyone's mind, be it track managers, stewards or anyone involved, that the possibility of jockeys calling it off would sway the decision. But, maybe it's something that is taken into account. It costs an awful lot of money for everybody to call a meeting off. You look at floating a horse, the races from, say, Mornington to Wangaratta or something, Strathbury included, will cost you about $1,000. So you get to the races and, the races are called off. We're only racing for, $14,000 to the winner up in those areas. It's obviously gone up now, but $1,000 out of pocket is awfully hard for owners to be swallowing. I see it.
Forget about this meeting, but do you think there's been some meetings in the past where you think that the jockeys have called the meeting off when they shouldn't have?
Well, we have, that's why we have the vote. And if there's a vote where 8 jockeys think that they can ride and 9 don't, then obviously there are 8 jockeys that think that the meeting shouldn't have been called off. So it's difficult. I think what we need to reiterate as jockeys, and we're, VJ, brings it up quite often, that uncomfortable isn't unsafe. We're in the depths of winter. I saw racing at Ballarat on the synthetic the other day, and it looked awful. It was, felt like -4, and it was awful conditions. But is it unsafe or is it uncomfortable? That's the question we need to ask, and it's probably the question we need to ask ourselves when we're voting to, continue with the meeting or not.
Do you think you've got support from fellow jockeys that there is racing that should be going ahead because there is a difference between uncomfortable and unsafe?
Oh, I think undoubtedly so. I copped a bit of flack for my stance on the jump outs not long ago. So there's differing opinions and whatnot. But like I said, there's jockeys that vote to go ahead and don't and not go ahead. So I would imagine I have some support, and I'd imagine I'd have some others that are beaten down on me saying that I'm out of line. But it's just, I just want to reiterate, it's just so frustrating to attract owners to the game when the rising costs of having a horse in work to abandon meetings for horses that aren't going to find suitable races on synthetic tracks.
Buckets is a difficult one for, I usually have an opinion on everything these days, but I won't have an opinion on this because I don't ride horses. I can listen to yourself, jockeys, and you can, Sammy Hyland, he's been very strong on this with his opinion regarding these meetings being called off. I think it's unfair for people who haven't ridden or don't ride in these races because it's not your safety that you're putting on the line to have an opinion. But I do find it interesting that there is a split with what people think or what the jockeys think who compete here, what's unsafe and what's uncomfortable. And I think it's an issue that will be interesting to see if that we can sort out and get to a situation where everyone is on the same page. Now, that might be impossible, Daniel. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, Sammy goes pretty hard, and he can now because he doesn't have to sit in the room with the jockeys anymore. But, he raises some valid points amongst his arguments. But, look, safety's paramount. 100% safety's paramount. I tend to agree a little bit, and it might be a touch controversial, that his stance on visibility, that can be backed up through, watching Breeders' Cup and things like that. Jockeys wear a lot of pair of goggles and things like that. So visibility, I don't tend to take into account when it comes to safety. It's more so flipping, patches where it goes from, soft to heavy or good to heavy. That creates problems, and it creates problems for the horses as well. But, we can say to transfer the meeting to synthetic, but the nominations on synthetic tracks don't show that. We've got 618 noms for Bendigo Turf this weekend, and we had 283 noms for Ballarat Synthetic. So there's a definite need for wet trackers. We have these wet trackers in work and waiting at 150 a day to be going around on a wet track, and they're not getting their opportunity.
Last one here, Daniel. Do you think we had Noel Callow on the show as well, and he was talking about this situation what Sammy brought up, and he was agreeing with Sammy. Do you think there's just a divide between the old school and the new generation?
Well, when I was younger, if I even thought about calling a meeting off, I'd get a kick up the arse from my boss and I was to go around. So, look, safety is paramount. So, insurance premiums go up and up and up. So we have to keep safety key. But like I said, uncomfortable is not unsafe.
Yeah. All right then, mate. We might follow this up with Aaron Morrison as well, but we appreciate you coming on. It is an interesting situation because you make a good point. There's a lot of money that goes into owning a horse these days, and it's costly for everybody if these meetings are abandoned. But on the other side of it, safety is paramount for the jockeys who are risking their lives when they go out and compete. And it's up to the jockeys if they think it's safe or not. But it's interesting to see that there is different opinions maybe in the jockeys' room. So we'll follow that up with the boss, Aaron Morrison, and see what he has to say. But we appreciate you coming on and telling your story, Daniel.
No worries at all, mate. Thanks for having me.
There's Daniel Moore there. I know Sammy will probably touch on this a little later on in the afternoons. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the weekend preview a little earlier today because Aaron Morrison will join us towards the back end of Giddy Up on this Thursday morning.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall. The Giddy Up bag of tips for Oz Equipment Rentals. Supplying equipment to the construction, mining and roadworks industries. OzEquipment.com.
Welcome back to Giddy Up. Gareth Hall with you on this Thursday morning. It is 20 minutes to 10. It's time now for Bag of Tips. All thanks to the Ultima Hotel in the heart of the Mallee, just down the road from Swan Hill. Swing by for a cold beer. Oz Equipment Rentals, supplying equipment to the construction, mining and roadworks industries, OzEquipment.com. And with Bet365 Top Tote Plus, you get the best payout across all three national totes. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. No Ballarat races, as you just heard there, so it's off. Luke Hovannessian at Dubbo likes race 3, number 2, Denman Deputy, and race 6, number 13, Man from Brussels. And at Gosford, race 4, number 6, Exotique, and Miss Judas, race 5, number 5, is his selection as well. Harness Racing New South Wales, a home of the Carnival of Cups, where Australian music royalty meets quality harness racing action. Stellina for Amanda Rando's the tip in race 4. Race 4, number 2. Race 6, number 1, Diletto. And race 8, number 3, RBT. And Darren Carroll likes race 2, number 10, Sir Nipper at Ballarat. And race 4, number 7, Faithful. So race 2, number 10, race 4, number 7. And we've got our bet boost today with Bet365. Saki Tunbridge joins us once again in the studio. The weekend preview's not far away. Zach, we've got one today, and it comes up. We're about to get the boost announced by the traders there at Bet365. It's one of Chris Waller's at Gosford, up and under. I've taken responsibility here. So up and under, which is currently at around 230. So give it strength. Greyhound Racing tonight at Angle Park. For expert greyhound racing tips, follow at the Dogs SA on Twitter or Greyhound Racing SA on Facebook. Todd Gray joins us. G'day, Toddy.
Hey, Ledge, how are we going?
Good, thanks, mate. Where do we start with your specials?
Easy. 3 tonight. Race 1, number 3 is the first one. Anna Valentina. They say there's a race out there for every dog, and this is her race. Look, truth be told, she hasn't won a race since Moses was a baby, but honestly, this isn't a strong 600-metre race tonight. She's the experienced one. She's had 13 starts over this distance, placed 4 of them. The 4 dog is scratched. So we lose the third dividend, which is a shame because I am going each way, but it's the best dog to be scratched because she wants to stay somewhat in the centre of the track. So it's probably the best dog to be scratched. I think she finds the front going through the catching pen. And again, this isn't the strongest race. If she finds the front, no reason why she can't hold on. So race 1, number 3, Alan Valentina. Then race 2, number 1, Big Chief Size is my best bet of the night. This is a great race. Only 5 dogs, but you wouldn't mind owning a share in any of them. This dog flew last start, pure and simple, 34.08 over this distance. And how's this for a record from box 1? 8 starts, 5 wins, 2 seconds. If you don't mind, we lead again. We should be winning, even though this is a great field. And race 10, number 7, Poor Electra. Now, this isn't a very strong race. This is its first race in SA. A white and black bitch. Now, I'm backing myself in at the trials last week, but I saw this kennel bring out a white and black bitch, and it went 30.80, which isn't flying, but this race won't break 31 seconds for mine. But I noticed it runs in blinkers. I think we're either going to win this by the length of the straight, or we are going to have a story to tell and probably a bit of a whinge. If it brings trial form, matey, and I'm very confident I got the right dog here, if it brings trial form, it should just be winning. Race 10, number 7, Poor Electra.
Yeah, I see. Poor Electra can get the job done in the blinkers. You keep on dominating, Toddy boy.
I'll do my best. You do the same.
I love those social media videos you've been putting up, walking and talking. Terrific stuff.
No worries, mate. I appreciate it as well. Yeah, it's good. I might as well do something when I'm out about walking and talking. It's probably I'm better at the talking part than the walking.
Beautiful. Go and get it, mate. Thanks for that. It's Todd Gray looking at Angle Park. For expert greyhound racing tips, follow at the Dogs SA on Twitter or Greyhound Racing SA on Facebook. The weekend preview coming up next.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENTrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall. It's now time for the weekend preview with Mick Gannon, Dean Watling and Mitch Lewis.
What about this for a lineup for the weekend preview? Out due to illness, Dean Watling, because he's sick of what happened there last night with his beloved New South Wales. I know Mitchy Lewis as well today, but the Magic Man will do the form for Caulfield for us. That's Miles Fitzner, of course, and Mickey Gannon joins us now. Hello to you, Mickey Gannon.
Excited thinking Joe Moreira is going to do the form for you.
Yes.
I'm sure Miles will do a fine job as well.
Soft six at Randwick, the rails in the 6 metre position. Before we get stuck into this meeting, let's welcome in the face of Bet365 these days, Zachy Tunbridge. G'day, Zach.
Morning, G. Morning, Mick.
What happened there last night, you New South Wales supporters?
I might throw you, Mick, about that one.
Well, we spoke about it at the end of game 2, G. You know, they were coming home with all the momentum and struggled to score points. And, you know, as I said, it was disappointing. It was a disaster, and they looked rudderless. And they looked rudderless in the first 20 minutes of the game last night. And they brought basically the last 5 minutes of game 2 into game 3. And Queensland far too good. Tom Dearden's a star, and a star on the rise. I didn't have him penned for that. But he stood up, and we just weren't good enough. I'll tell you what's interesting. I think, you know, you got players like Spencer Lenu, who's just a freakish talent, really aggressive footballer. You know, you need to inject players like him, even like a Hudson Young into the game earlier, even a Connor Watson, someone that's going to add a bit of spark. And I think the days of Laurie Daly as New South Wales coach are numbered.
Mm-hmm. I think the best part about the match for New South Wales supporters there last night was in the dying minutes, Zach. Can you please explain?
It was when it finished.
No, with the last try.
So I was having a little chat to some of our traders or head of trading, and when he mentioned, I was furious at the result, but I think he was more furious at Brian Toto scoring in the last minute, which was by far and away the most popular anytime try scorer. So he was like, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Don't you love the new world these days? These young, like the New South Wales supporters, they're getting flogged. But then there was a big cheer in the grandstands when Toto went over the line to score that try because everybody was on.
Yeah,
and it was like no one cared anyway in the last minute.
No one except for a very small minority of traders around the country, I think.
Let's have a look at this meeting at Randwick. How do you think this track will play, Mickey?
It'll be interesting, Gareth, because it's currently a soft 6, rails out 6 metres, but it's a very windy day here in Sydney. If the wind sort of picks up for the next few days and it is sort of drying conditions, we could well and truly get back close to a 4. And with the rail out, then you're going to want to be a little bit more on speed. If it is a 4, if it's still in a 6 range, then, you know, running line sort of stuff. So we'll play straight back to it and just sort of play as we see the speed maps unfolding and assess it on a fair deck at the moment, Gareth.
Let's have a look at race 7. This is the first leg of the quaddie, benchmark 78. A couple of scratchings already. Favourite is Lulu Mon at 460. Katsu's got to carry weight, and he's very quick on his day for the Mailbag team. Will Hayes gave him a good push at 480. And then you've got, who's been the best backed out of that? Yishka's at $10. What's the market doing in your eyes there, Zach?
Yeah, likewise with Katsu has been the best supported runner so far. Lulumon is pretty firm, and then also Cassiel. They're pretty much the top 3.
Yeah. So Cassiel's at 480 here, Mickey G.
It's a lot of weight for Katsu, isn't it? 66, take off 2, 64 kilos, albeit it's over 1,000 metres. Weight does stop train, so it's an interesting move from the boys to set that horse up here. Draws barrier 1.
The question I posed to you, would you have done it, Mickey?
Yeah, worth rolling the dice.
Yes.
I think over 1,000 metres. I think worth rolling the dice. We'll see. You know, it's one of those things, isn't it? We'll only know post the race, and it probably comes down to how soft the lead Katsu does get. The Poet's got a bit of speed there. Terry Evans' horse, whether it goes around, that'll be we'll find out on Saturday. Cassiel, this is a step up. Was nominated and accepted yesterday, and that was a very, very winnable race. So I was very surprised to see it come out. Now turns up here. It suggests that horse must be flying as well. Found it a really difficult race to probably bet into at the moment, but I'd say Lulu Mon's a horse that's low flying, really getting some wins on the board, and with a fair amount of speed in the race, just stalks and can get last crack at them. So we'll lean the way of the 3, Lulu Mon, and dangers Cassiel could jump out of the ground, and Katsu, if there's any sort of sign of a leader bias and the horse can get over the line with 64 kilos, I'd be surprised, but I think it gives a side anyway.
Ignore the flux too. There's a heap of deductions with these
Correct.
two, King Secret and Flame of Festia coming out, so ignore those big flux.
Diamond Lil's the favourite in race 8. It's at $4.60. Punton was good the other day. Great ride by Ash Morgan. Didn't muck around, went to the front. Don't Forget Jack at $6. Sly Boots at $7. Fiddler's Green at $7.50. And then you go out to Hellfire Express at $12. This is over the 1,600 metres, a benchmark 78, Zach.
Yep, Diamond Lil is a little bit of support. Punton and Don't Forget Jack look to be the best ones that have had a little bit early boots. Sly Boots is the other one that they're chipping away at, but relatively quiet betting race.
What are you doing here, Mickey G?
Interesting race, isn't it, G? Like, Diamond Lil probably rates well for this for the first time in quite some time. So she's been sort of lining up and you've been thinking, thereabouts, not really sure. The market probably has got it wrong, but I think the market's probably got it right this time. And I think Diamond Lil, right place, right time. Punton goes forward, Uzziah, Forecaster, Hellfire Express, and whoever thought from out wide. I think Diamond Lil could probably just sit in behind them for the run of the race. So I suggest she probably gets the first crack at them. Fiddler's Green, Sly Boots, they'll also be right there, and I think they'll have the opportunity. I think the race is between those three, so if you are playing the quaddies, I probably can't identify the winner at this point. Diamond Lil's probably just on top, but Fiddler's Green, Sly Boots include them in your quaddies, and I think you'll get the result.
Yeah, I think they might go pretty quick up front here. It's just mapped perfectly for Diamond Lil, doesn't it? Diamond Lil, she can just sit off them and then have the last crack at them. If she doesn't,
exactly
she just
right.
needs a little bit of luck, I would imagine, and Collet ride. So he just needs a gap laid. But if she does get the gap, I think she's the one to beat.
Well, I completely agree with you, G. And we know that, she's handled the 1,600 metres before. And you go back and look at that Scone run where she just sort of sat off them and then just went bang. I think you probably get a similar setup to that. So, Diamond Lil on top, G.
Race 9's a beauty. Some up-and-comers here. You've got It's a Knockout 260 that won nicely first up. Get a Fix one like, I don't know, who did Get a Fix? One like Frankel there the other day.
I was going to say it was nearly a Winks.
Yeah. 260. Mickey's Medal at $7. Cool Jakey at $9 here. Little Contrue needs to get a start at $10. Zach.
By far and away, favourite It's a Knockout is the most popular. Drifting is Mickey's Medal, though. We went up $4.80. It's already $7. And there's a one at odds they have had a little bit at is Akasawa. Andrew Adkins aboard. But without a doubt, It's a Knockout.
I was going to get little Tommy Papley on because he's not doing too much as he looks after his hamstring, but I thought, I've got to listen to the Sydney set tonight. Obviously, he's a part owner there of the Johnny O'Shea, Tommy Charlton horse. It's a big chance here. What price Get a Fix? About $2.80, Mickey? It can't get beat, can it?
Well, if it repeats what it's got to get in the field first, but if it repeats what it did last time, then
it'll get in the
race.
Field.
He's low flying. Yeah, he's low flying, and suggests it is a 2-horse race. Though It's a Knockout was really good against, with things against it first up last time, and produced a decent figure. So it's a clear race in 2. It's an intriguing enough race as well. So that horse overcame a wide draw. Was sort of travelled a bit wide in the trip, and you suspect it's probably only going to improve. So I think both horses are going places. What do you do with it? One's 260, others 260. Is that right? What do you do with that?
You got to take a side. You got to
wait for some.
You got to pick a side, don't you? Really?
No, well, Gareth, if they bet $2.60 New South Wales and Queensland last night, what would you have done? You would have backed them both and made a profit. So I suspect when the market percentage is drop and we might get closer to $3 both of those, we probably back them both with a bit of confidence. And they're clearly the 2 in the race. I couldn't possibly have anything else.
Okay. I don't know. Can you trust Get a Fix to do what he did there the other day? He's been gelded. Johnny O'Shea says that's how you got to ride him. J-Mac rode him on that occasion, and he floated into that race beautifully. He showed a turn of foot. He did everything right. But if you take him 260, can you trust him to do it again?
It's a really good question, and Jason Coller's probably the right jockey to sort of rinse and repeat of what J-Mac did last time. So you've got to trust the number, G. Clear 2-horse race though. Just got to trust the numbers.
He's got that Tommy Papley type of eyes there, and he'll be winning. Get a fix. He might win a Doncaster on that performance there, what we saw first up on the Kenzo track. Hey, we'll take the 10 o'clock news. We might see if we can get that boost, get a fix there for the believers out there, Zachy. And we'll take the 10 o'clock news and come back with more.
Powered by Signet. Good morning, I'm Adam Pont with SEN News. An emotionally charged victory for Queensland in last night's Origin decider. Cam Munster and coach Billy Slater could not hide their emotion after the 24-12 win. The Maroon skipper playing through the pain of losing his father to lead his team to an inspired victory.
My dad would be stupid enough to tell me I know for a fact that footy's not more important. Family's obviously more important, but there's more at stake. Like when you look at it, it's decider. I wasn't kept the whole week. I knew the preparation. It would have been a tough job to Bill and the coaching staff to obviously put someone in.
Freeing hostages held in Gaza and working towards a ceasefire deal, the two main topics of the meeting between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. It's the second time in 2 days the US president has had a face-to-face with the Israeli Prime Minister, with the pair also discussing what they've called a successful military operation on Iran's nuclear sites. Telstra has confirmed it is cutting hundreds of jobs. It will swing the axe on 550 positions from across the company. The telco is insisting the cuts are not a result of using AI technology. A landmark court ruling has found Russia responsible for downing flight MH17, which was carrying 38 Australians. The European Court of Human Rights issuing a verdict that Russia and its agents killed 298 passengers and crew when it was shot down in 2014. And the boss of X, formerly Twitter, Linda Yaccarino, says she's stepping down after 2 rocky years running Elon Musk's social media platform. sen.com.au sport coming up next. Novak Djokovic has progressed to the semi-finals at Wimbledon, beating Italy's Flavio Cobolli in 4 sets. The Serb will now take on world number 1 Yannick Sinner. And it was an impressive effort from the ACT Brumbies against the British and Irish Lions, but they couldn't keep it up for the whole game, eventually going down 36-24.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up with Gareth Hall. We're streaming live every day on the SEN app, our YouTube channel, and also on our Facebook page, all thanks to Bet365. This weekend, if you like your Quinellas, exactas, trifectas, first fours and quaddies, Bet365, you'll be paid out on Saturday at the highest national tote for all exotics at Caulfield, Randwick, Doomben, Murray Bridge and Bunbury. That's 45 races because it's never ordinary at Bet365. Selected meetings and eligible customers only. Terms and conditions apply. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. We're up to that last race, final leg of the quaddie at Randwick on Saturday. And you've got Changing Colours at $4.20. Liberty State is at $7. Slinky at $7. Pariah Pearl at $8. Captain Amelia at $9. She hasn't had any luck this prep. Lady Boss at $10 here, Zach Tunbridge.
Yeah, not a heap going on. Number 5, Changing Colours, probably the more well-supported runner so far. Captain Amelia, I've been on every start, last couple of starts, so God, it's cost me some money. And maybe a tiny bit for Slinky, but a very, very quiet betting race.
Mickey Gannon?
Changing Colours draws really well, G. Finally got that win on the board, which is probably the key here, isn't it? Because we've been waiting for that horse to put another win on the board this preparation. Third, second, and then got the win. So you'd think just with a bit of confidence there, call it on. No, not Jeff Penza. He got the job done, but call it on. That's also an jockey upgrade, G. So I suspect Changing Colours can definitely go on with it here. Liberty State, Dylan Gibbons back on, Jay Ford off. Another tick there, I'd suggest. And they're probably the two. Pariah Pearl's an interesting runner, so that comes up here. Nashville Wheeler on. They'll lead on this horse and put a bit of pressure in the race. I think that'll set up perfectly for the 3, Liberty State, and the 5, Changing Colours. I think they're clearly the 2 horses you can back in this race and get a profit.
So that's the quaddie leagues there at Randwick on Saturday. There's some nice races in the early part of this meeting. The first race, you've got these young horses going around. Pillow Fight, it's a 2-year-old by Sue Star. She was impressive on debut. Bjorn Baker prepares. She's the favourite at $2.50 from Tomato Toasty at $3.50. Any money for these young horses, Zach?
Yeah, a little bit. Pillow Flight has looks like the best supported run. I think it's $3.20 into about the $2.50 mark. But yeah, and a little bit of Crossbow actually. Crossbow was probably straight out the bat. People talk about $6, but yeah, looks good.
Any horses, or do you want to back any of these 2-year-olds here in the first race, Mickey Gannon?
Yeah, I think Crossbow's got the right sort of form lines there, G. You know, obviously kicked off on debut and got, touched up by Wadton, but Central Coast form out of Canterbury, the 12.50 probably holds his horse in good stead. I suggest got pretty close from back in the field. So I think that's a form line, the Central Coast form line that will stand up in the spring, and I'd suggest to you that Crossbow is probably, the horse to beat here, and the money's obviously come for this horse as well. So, and completely agree with that push. The other 2 horses, Pillow Fight, Tomato Toasty, look, they're good, but I think that Crossbow might. Well, obviously needs a bit of luck from that inside draw because there will be quite a few of them across them, but gets the luck, can win the race. Can you find a winner in the midway or the highway on Saturday? Your specialties? Certainly can. Yeah. Certainly can, yeah. I think in summer probably very, very hard to beat in the highway, but the horse I was probably most keen on backing was Premise, just drawn barrier 15 now. That's probably, a bit of fly in the ointment sort of stuff there. But
in summer's the best backed runner of the day so far, Mickey.
Yeah, and I think that the problem is they're both drawn wide. What do you do with that? They're the class gallopers from a mile starting point. Are they positive? You'd probably imagine in summer it's going to be positive, and they're probably positive on Premise and just overcome those wide draws. I think they're clearly the 2 horses in the highway, G. You spoke of the midway, and I just think Callistamon's clearly the best bet of the day. I think they put up a stupid price. What price, something like $4.50.
Yeah, he's not wrong. We went $4.60. $4.60 yesterday. It's now $3 also been smashed.
So this horse was super impressive against the pattern of the day. Spotted them without, call it 4.5 lengths, and still mowed them down on a day where you probably wanted to be more up and in, and was very, very good. That was at the mile, gets the mile again, so stays at the mile. Jason Collett sticks and just goes up 2 kilos, but it was a really impressive win on that day, G. And I think that we'll just rinse and repeat in a midway where there's plenty of pressure. So I think probably be more suited this time around from an inside draw, do no work, sit midfield, peel off them and go bang. And even that $3 now, well, it's the right price. I'd suggest as the market sort of gets a bit tighter, we might get closer to sort of $3.50 on Saturday. But maybe that could be our boost bet, because I think Clifton will be getting the job done.
Beautiful. Any in those middle parts of any horses in the middle part of the meeting? Flame of Hestia, $4.80. Celerity, one of ours, at $5. King Secret at $5.50 in race 4. Race 5, Federer and Piggyback go at it again, and Mr. Kipchoge. $3.80 for Federer, Piggyback $4, Mr. Kipchoge at $6. And the 6th race, Sarfod and Pippi Beach. Well, Pippi Beach will start the favourite at $3.40. Any of those horses backed in any of those races there, Zach?
You mentioned just Pippi Beach then. So after deductions, it probably equates to about $4 into $3.40. Also really well supported. Races 4 and 5, not much going on. Race 6, yeah, though.
You like anything there, mate?
Yeah, I do, G. Yeah, I'm pretty keen on in race 4. I thought King Secret, I thought it was interesting. I thought probably would win race 7. Turns up here in race 4. Now, my only thinking there is that Joe's probably just more comfortable racing his horse against 3-year-olds and figures that it's more low-hanging fruit. So with the 60.5 kilos, sure, it's going to be a bit of a test, but it's only over 1,100 metres. And what it did last time, against the pattern racing wide with cover suggests that, King Secret can only improve. And I think he improves, and I think he wins the race, because I think he's just better than these. He's just got to carry the weight. So race 4, number 1, King Secret, very, very hard to beat. And $5.50 still represents a bit of value there for that horse. In race 5, Federer, I think is clearly, sort of fits the Callistemon mould as in best bet of the day, like gets here, right place, right time now. 1,800 metres, went 14, 18, and I thought it was pretty good. 1,800 metres third up, second time his preparation, ready to roll. And this is he's a really, really good racehorse, G. And I suspect we'll see this on Saturday, and I wouldn't be surprised if he blows this lot away.
What's your horse for the boost? There's only 3 of us in the side this week, Mickey. Yourself.
What happened to the boys? They've all gone a bit soft.
Yeah, crook. So I had to give them a week off. So Miles will jump in. He's about to join us after the break to go through his best at Caulfield, and I'm back in the side, so I get my opportunity
it's
again.
Good to have you back, Gareth.
Yeah. I just need a little bit of luck.
You know what? We'll even make you captain. We'll make you captain this week to really inspire and conquer.
We'll go top 4 again. So which horse are you with? Callistemon.
I think we'll just throw Federer in, just based on the fact it's a smaller field. Race 5, number 3, Federer. And just, G, before we go, look, for listeners might be keen, in race 6, I thought Zafod just maps to perfection, probably wins that race as well. So you'll be able to, tune in the Sydney set and get the full rundown of why we're keen on these runners today. But, I thought it's another runner that can win. But Federer is the horse for me in the play.
Your best bets, just recap your best bets then.
Yeah, Callistemon definitely there. Race 3, number 10, Callistemon. And then we'll go to race 5, number 3, Federer. We'll leave it at those two, G, but keen across plenty of these races on Saturday.
Good on you, Roger. Keep on dominating. Thanks for that, Mickey G. You're a good man. There's Mickey Gannon. I think we lost him a little bit towards the back end, but he was superb today. Miles Fitzner to join us next on the weekend preview, all thanks to Bet365.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up with Gareth Hall. We are streaming live every day on the SEN app, our YouTube channel and Facebook, all thanks to Bet365. And our boost today with Bagger Tips at Gosford. And Zachy, we're all over up and under for Rory Hutchings and Chris Waller. $2.30 currently. What price are you giving us?
You're getting $2.70 up until about 12 o'clock, so jump on.
Bang, bang. $2.70 to 1 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm so confident with my top 4 multi this week as well. And I tell you what, when you've just been missing out and you need a little bit of help just to get it done, the job done, I've called in the magic man to help us do it this week. Miles Fitzner's ready to go to preview Caulfield. Hello to you, Miles.
Hello, G-Man. Hello, Zach. Hello to the listeners. Back to Caulfield. And, it might be a little tricky, but I think we can find a few, especially at value.
Rails in the true. Soft 6 this morning, bit of rain today. I reckon we'll be around the soft 6, soft 5 range.
Well, the one thing, I'm sort of down just south of Caulfield, and it did rain down here. Didn't have the greatest of sleeps last night, but it rained here pretty well most of the night. So I'd expect it to go backwards before it went forwards. Look, no wind to speak of outside at the moment, but I'm expecting it to, at least be 6 at a minimum, maybe even a 7.
Well, Lindsay Smith says he's been looking at the Seagulls in Geelong and it'll be a heavy track on Saturday. So we'll just keep it.
Kind of feels like it.
Yeah, we'll keep a close eye on it. Race 6 at Caulfield, first leg of the quaddie. Keep your cool. Look, the winner there the other day. She was second. She's at $4.80. Blazing Harry $6. Carhoff at $7.50. Vale Mountain at $9. Zachy Tunbridge, what's the market doing here?
Relatively quiet. Keep your cool. They have chipped away at a little bit. And Carhoff, tiny. And a couple of bets for the bit of one outsider here. And Hill Rip, drawn very wide. But looks like keep your cool.
Milo, what do you like in the first leg of the quaddie?
I'm probably leading towards Carhoff here off that Flemington run. I'm trying to look for horses that are still going to be in sort of the first few or settle in the first few. Hill Rip from the tricky draw is going to be the fascinating one as to whether or not that crosses and sits right across. But I'm probably leading towards Carhoff on an each way, but really, really tricky sort of first 2 legs to start of the quaddie. Wouldn't shock me something jumping out of the ground, maybe even like a Silver Cliff or something like that, but leading towards Carhoff on an each-way basis, up on speed, sort of take a few of the variables out of it.
The 7th race is a good one. Sue Sensation, crew best effort the other day to win for the Corstons team, and it's at $4.20. The Open at $4.40. Will Larkin, of course, in the Corson's team there as well these days. Lindsay Smith gave us a good push for Yellow Sam at $6. And Will Hayes said, Run Harry Run, who I loved there the other day, is the best. He said our $100 staking plan straight out on Run Harry Run. And we're getting $10 with Bet365, Zach.
Yeah, Run Harry Run. It's had a little bit of support. Zoo Sensation is the most well supported. Look, they're all pretty even around here. They've even chipped away at St. Lawrence. You mentioned Run Harry Run. You're getting at least $2.30, even $2 to run top 5 even. So $10 looks nice.
You're giving away my top 4 play of the day come Saturday. Anyway, what are you doing here, Miles?
If we're still sitting in the soft range, I think you've got to be looking at Zoo Sensation. If we just push at the bottom end of soft or into the heavy range, that's when the Yellow Sams, the Opens probably more come into it. Look, at this stage, expecting what I'm expecting, I'm leaning towards Zoo Sensation. Yellow Sam, I wouldn't rule out. I know they scratched previously to leave him another week to go for a race like this. Look, horses like El Salado, you could sort of maybe put a line through if it gets to the heavy. Lim Sao Toro is probably very similar, but if you're staying back in the soft range, you can include those 2 horses. So track dependent, but at this stage, leaning towards Zoo Sensation, maybe Yellow Sam.
Love the Sir John Monash Stakes. That means the carnival's not far away, even though we're in the middle part of winter. You've got In Flight at $2.90. She's been in brilliant form. She's the winter wonder. She loves a soft track, and she comes to Melbourne from Sydney as the horse to beat here. Kalos at 550, Cleo Cat at 550. New York Luster has got plenty of X Factor first up this prep at 850. And Recommendations doing a few things wrong these days. He's at $9, Zach.
Yeah, not much to mention besides In Flights. There are 3 best backed runners of the day. 2 are early on. I'll mention at the ends, but In Flight, really well supported here. We went up $3. It's now $2.90. Very, very firm.
Miles?
In Flight's going to be hard to beat to where he gets to in the run from that gate. The horse that you can't ignore is Recommendation. He absolutely loves it here. I don't really think he'll mind what going he gets. He's going to be sort of up outside of maybe Limbs Kosciuszko, New York Luster back inside the fence. So, look, if you can probably, if it's looking a bit sort of leaderish or that on-pace favour, even with the sting out, you lean towards Recommendation. But I've got In Flight just in front at this stage, but they are the 2, the 6 and the 2 I'm working around.
Aztec State was brilliant there the other day. First up from a long time. Has got a wide gate to contend with, but it's the favourite here. So Atlas run a big race if he gets a start for Lindsay Smith at $6. Out of Compton at $7.50. Louis Clifton has just tipped me a horse, British Columbia. Our producer says it's a moral at $10, Zach.
British Columbia, what is it? Coming out
wants
of
a gig on this show now, Louis.
$10 for the win, $3.40 the place. Looks okay. They've had a little bit, especially on the place there for some multis. Aztec State, popular. There is one at odds that they've had a little bit on, and that is Regal Vow, drawn the inside. So, interesting race.
Miles?
Well, once again, you're veering on conditions here. If we're anything in the soft range or better, you can just walk into Aztec State. It'll be my best of the day if we're not on a heavy deck. If we're anything at the bottom end of soft into the heavy, I think Louis bang on. British Columbia comes right into it. This is a horse that relishes the conditions, also probably goes best third up and has won here track and trip before. So, look, that soft or better, Aztec State can cross and get up. I think this is a horse with a lot of upside, and he's going to win a few races come this time of the year. I don't think you'll get much opposition as good as him. But look, if we're on an okay sort of a deck, he's going to be close enough to the best of the day. But if it goes to the slop, it's British Columbia.
It's 10:24. Taking early news. The CEO of racing, Victoria Aaron Morrison, isn't far away. He will join us just after 10:30 to go through the big announcements from RV and the race clubs overnight. In fact, it was announced this morning regarding the prize money level. So Aaron Morrison will join us shortly. But I'll take the news and we'll come back with Milo's best bets at Caulfield.
Powered by Signet, making SEN news this hour. An emotionally charged victory for Queensland in last night's Origin decider, beating New South Wales 24-12. Freeing hostages held in Gaza and working towards a ceasefire deal, the 2 main topics of the meeting between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Telstra has confirmed it's cutting hundreds of jobs. It will swing the axe on 550 positions from across the company. A landmark court ruling has found Russia responsible for downing flight MH17, which was carrying 38 Australians. And the boss of X, formerly Twitter, Linda Yaccarino, says she's stepping down after 2 rocky years running Elon Musk's social media platform. Novak Djokovic has progressed to the semi-finals at Wimbledon, beating Italy's Flavio Cobolli in 4 sets. The Serb will now take on world number 1 Yannick Sinner. And it was an impressive effort from the ACT Brumbies against the British and Irish Lions, but they couldn't keep it up for the whole game, eventually going down 36-24.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENtrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back. This is the weekend preview, all thanks to Bet365. This Saturday with Bet365, we'll have the Mega Boost available on selected runners. Check out Bet365 from 10 a.m. on Saturday and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365, subject to availability. Eligible customers only. Terms and conditions apply. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Zach, Tunbury's the best backed horses at Caulfield Saturday.
Yeah, look, they're relatively short, but Caulfield race 1, number 2, Signature Scent. It's 220. It's unbeaten. It is in a lot of bets and multis, and also Jimmy the Bear. So yes. Jimmy the Bear is short in race 4, but hopefully that will be a mega boost on the weekend, starting with a 2 and being a decent price.
Your best at Caulfield, Milo, on Saturday?
Well, I'm going to step outside of those two. We'll leave race 4 alone. I'm going to go to race 3, number 2, Superlicious. I'm going to make that close enough to the best of the day. I'm going to follow that race, that She's an Artist race. I reckon that form line's going to be a little bit superior to a few of the others. So I'm more than happy to risk Zarpo in the 3-year-old fillies race and then go back one race before. I'm going to take on Shadava of Tom Dabenix. I know there's a host of money that's gone into this horse, but I'm going to take Scampi out of that. That was the 5th fastest last 200 of the entire meeting from that horse last start. We're going to get we're going to get each way odds with Bet365 for Scampi. That's race 2, number 4. And the value of the day is we're going to take on the Hot Pot in the first. And we're going to go with one at $27 from the Philip Stokes yard here. And Joey Bowditch called it Shy Star, which we haven't seen since the Sportsbet Blue Diamond preview for the fillies. So I think Shyster can upset the apple cart in the first there at Caulfield.
Yeah, top 4 multi with Bet365, the Giddy Up Weekend Preview top 4 multi, which will be up shortly. So Superlicious for Miles at Caulfield, race 3. Federer for Mickey Gannon at Randwick. In Flight for Mitchie Lewis at Caulfield in the feature. And I'm with Run Harry Run top 4 there in race 7 at Caulfield. What price will we get, Zach?
So you're getting normal price is about $6.20 at the moment.
$15.
Yeah, $21. No, we'll get that up about 12. So you'll at least be getting $8.
And get on immediately because it'll come in
yes
to about $6 anyway, back to its original price by Saturday.
We do. We keep it up until race day, but if it keeps getting backed, it's going to shorten.
Good on you, Zach.
Thanks,
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bad luck about New South Wales.
Thank you.
Aaron Morrison, the CEO of Racing Victoria, to join. Hey, Milo, thank you very much as well. Good on you, mate.
On you, G. On you, Zach.
Aaron Morrison to join me next.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENTrack. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up with Gareth Hall. We are streaming live every day on the SEN app, our Facebook page, and also our YouTube channel, all thanks to Bet365. And you can listen to us, as always, on your local SENtrack dial or the SEN app. The CEO of Racing Victoria, Aaron Morrison, joins us now after the announcement this morning that prize money in the state of Victoria will remain at the current levels. And he joins us now. Aaron, I reckon you'd be over the moon announcing that today, to have prize money in today's climate to stay at the same levels as it did this season, of course, heading towards next season.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And thanks for having me again, Gareth. But it's a great news story for the industry. And I think it's a great shot of confidence and vote of confidence in Victorian racing. I think to be able to do that, as you say, with the tough macroeconomic backdrop and some pressure on our business model, we're really pleased to be able to come out and hold our prize money and make some really smart reallocations, I think. And we've achieved a number of really important outcomes which we can go through. But it's all thanks to cooperation with our stakeholders. They've all had a really important input into the whole process and the whole package of prize money. So really, really great for Victorian racing, on top of a number of other things. I think we're doing really well. There's a lot to be positive about with Victorian racing.
So how did you do it?
Well, we start with, consulting with our stakeholders, right? And I think they all understood that we do have some financial constraints and challenges, and I undertook that on my part, we would do some things in terms of the RV businesses to put us in a position to maximise the amount of money that we could invest into prize money. And then we sat down and started working with each of the stakeholder groups. So, Trainers Association, Jockeys Association, TROA, of course, have a big role to play here, given this is all about returns to participants, and all of the clubs. And, the whole package of things that we've been able to deliver goes all the way from, grassroots outcomes through to the high end. And there have been contributions from the clubs towards prize money top-ups, which we gratefully appreciate, and they've invested in their own marquee races. But alongside that, Racing Victoria has also made some further investments, and we've reallocated some of the prize money from individual races in some cases whole classes of races that we've adjusted and shifted so we could make further investments over here. The other one, of course, we spoke about last time, how we've got 18 less race meetings this year. And rather than just take the prize money out of the system, we put most of it back, probably 85% thereabouts. So several $1 million invested back into some of these other prize money initiatives to achieve these really great outcomes.
So when you first come on as the CEO of Racing Victoria, you did admit that you needed to make changes. You had to restructure the business. You've done that, and you needed to do that to sustain these prize money levels. Will you be able to sustain it after making those cutbacks going forward now? This time next year, we'll be having the same conversation?
Well, we'll certainly be having a similar conversation about the challenges of doing this, but I feel like we're in a much better position to be able to continue to maintain these levels, and it'll be a North Star ongoing for us, right? It's all about the participants. That's what we race for in the industry, right? My mantra has always been to look after the participants. The people who put their blood, sweat and tears and their dollars into the industry are the ones that we should be rewarding, and we'll do everything we can. So we make some changes to our business model in terms of restructure and decisions around costs and operational arrangements. And I think I hope the wagering market's also sort of flattening off a bit as well. And there have been some green shoots and good signs more recently.
Well, that is good signs. We might get to that in just a moment. We've got a lot to cover in a short amount of time. Talking to a few of the trainers and the owners today, I think when you look at the announcements today, the $5,000 increase to every maiden in this state next season is the big winner for everybody.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm probably the most proud and pleased to announce. A $7 million increase in maidens, right, across 1,400 races. All of those maidens are going up $5,000, and that's an incredible achievement, I think, that we've been able to manage. Again, so important to reward participants. It's hard to win maidens, and it's great to be able to reward them when they do. So you're right, that's really great. It's not just about the top end, but at the top end we've also been able to see with the cooperation of clubs an increase in Melbourne Cup prize money and of course the Cox Plate as well, the two best races in Australia.
I'll get to those Grand Slam races in just a moment. We might talk about them after the break. The other aspect that's interesting for me as well, and this is probably a little bit complicated for the punters out there, they don't really care, but from an owners and traders perspective, when they're trying to get a horse to win the most possible prize money that they can, you've added a few different classes to the programming.
Yeah, at the lower end of the spectrum, that's right. So we've made some tweaks there. That's a particularly crowded segment.
Yeah.
It's very competitive, and sometimes at that lower class, it's hard to find a race that you can be competitive in. You know, horses will come down that are slightly above the benchmark with an apprentice claim, and it can be frustrating for horses, you know, trying to compete against that. So we've introduced these lower class races.
Yeah.
It's for lower prize money, so there's less incentive for some of those horses to be racing in those same races where they can race for slightly better prize money in a more equivalent class and really spread that population out. And then hopefully these horses can get a win and then go on and progress through the grades and be rewarded for doing that.
And then if that's happening, then hopefully owners are reinvesting, and then
absolutely, and we keep the horses racing in Victoria. You know, they don't have to go across the border to find wins, and they're more likely to reinvest and keep doing so. So we're pleased with that, and we'll trial that through the whole year this year.
It's 10:42. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the CEO of Racing Victoria, Aaron Morrison, and we'll have a chat about the increases, especially to the Melbourne Cup. $10 million now, the Lexus Melbourne Cup, plus there's 2 new races. If you win them, you're into our great race. So we'll discuss that straight after this.
Join the conversation. Text us on 0499 736 736. Live across Australia on SENTrack. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up with Gareth Hall. Thanks to Bet365, the CEO of Racer Victoria, Aaron Morrison, with us. Aaron, the Melbourne Cup worth $10 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic outcome. Something the VRC have been trying to push for with Racing Victoria's support for some years now. So prize money goes up, $1 and a bit million, and they've also introduced 2 new fantastic win and in races, which we call the golden ticket races. Right, you win those races, you're straight into the Melbourne Cup, and of course, they provide such great talkability around the whole Melbourne Cup story. It really prolongs the narrative. So fantastic.
Talking about being proud of your announcements today, I reckon from a racing fan and a fan in racing in this state, how good is it that the VRC are now teaming up with a Geelong Racing Club in Moonee Valley to share in the excitement of horses getting into the greatest race of all? Yeah, it's fantastic. I know Geelong are absolutely over the moon. Moonee Valley, I'm sure it's the same. It's everyone gets to be involved in that great story, that the race that stops a nation. But you get that story, through the full year. I think there's something like 10 winning in races now. 8 here in Australia, a couple overseas. So you just build that story throughout the whole year. And the closer they are to the Melbourne Cup, I think it's better as well. So the Moonee Valley and Geelong Cup are nice and close to that first Tuesday in November. So well done to Kylie Rogers and her team there. So the prize money's been increased, but last year if you won the Melbourne Cup, you won $4.4 million. You win $4.5 million this year. But last year, if you finished 12th, you get $160,000. If you finish 13th, you get nothing. This year, you're guaranteed $100,000 if you make it into the Melbourne Cup. That's right. Do you like that? Yeah, I think it's a good initiative, right? I think it's rewarding the people that get into the Melbourne Cup and the connections of the horses that get into the Melbourne Cup, which isn't easy. It's hard to get into and hard to qualify. It's hard to breed stayers, You have a lot of patience, a lot of big investment, and I think it's appropriate that everyone gets a reward. So, as you pointed out, every horse that runs in the race, up to 24 starters, everyone will get at least $100,000. Those are horses that are, past the acceptance stage. So you're a winner if you get into our great race. You're a winner. Everyone's a winner. Yes. It's the people's race. It is the people's race. Now, the Cox Plate worth $6 million. This is the final Cox Plate at the old Moonee Valley before it starts its renovations. And the Caulfield Cup stays at $5 million. Yep, Caulfield Cup stays at $5 million, but the MRC have chosen to put some more money in to support some of their other races on the program across their 3 days, and a couple more $1 million races. And a new race, which we can talk about. But back to the Cox Plate, another fantastic story, right? Australia's greatest weight for age race. A lot of people think is the greatest race in Australia. Only the best horses win a Cox Plate, and it's terrific that we've been able to work with Moonee Valley to increase the prize money by $1 million for that as well. What will it be next year? Who knows? But I think Kanga might put it up to $10 million at Caulfield. We'll see. I think the offers are flying thick and fast. It'll be at Flemington. When are you going to announce that, Aaron? Well, we'll see. We're not far away. What we're trying to work out is, what the promotion of the race is just as important as where it is. Right? We want to make sure we do it well and protect the legacy of the race. It is Australia's greatest race, in my view. Are you proud that that you've got these race clubs, or you're happy the race clubs are putting some money into these races to help with your bottom line at RV? Especially like the VRC had to cut back prize money, but now they've been able to put more money back into their major races. Yeah, they've certainly seen an improvement in their financial position. But I think some part of this is also we're united around a common vision, right? We are all working together. I think everyone can understand where we're headed, what we're trying to achieve. We share our goals and objectives with one another, and we're seeing the support come back. That's how you get repaid. And I think Victorian racing's a really strong position at the moment. You think the 3 racing clubs will work together more in the future? Yeah. By sharing their costs and coming together because obviously it's a delicate situation, but if they can work together, then there's more money for prize money in a way. Yeah, that's right. And I think there are some genuine conversations happening amongst the clubs to look at meaningful shared services opportunities, right? And not just, sharing your payroll accounts payable, which
they should do anyway. But
Yep.
we're talking about big services contracts like cleaning and catering and grounds maintenance. There are real opportunities there to get some efficiency dividends back to
It's
the
a
clubs.
no-brainer, really.
Yeah, and so Racing Victoria, we're pretty keen to play a role to help
How much
drive and
can you have?
facilitate
How
that.
much a role can you have to persuade them?
Well, in the past we sort of presented the options and left it to the clubs, but we're really keen to drive it forwards now. It's an important opportunity not to be missed at this point in time when things are getting tougher. We scrap for every dollar that we get, whether that is from the wagering market or through government support or commercial support. I think this is something that we all have to do and get behind.
Can you play a tough game and say, well, if you don't do what we want you to do, then...
Well, carrots first or honey first, yeah.
MRC, that final day, which they've changed around a little bit, they've put in a lot of prize money there to make sure it works.
Yeah.
Like that's $1 million race now, that new 3-year-old race. Not a new 3-year-old race, but the Thoroughbred Stakes from 200 to $1 million now.
Yeah, and that's with a longer term vision in mind to see if we can get that race up to Group 1 level, over the next couple of years. There's a gap in the program for fillies, 1,200 metres fillies. There's no Group 1 race, and that's what the aim is with that. But as you say, they've also invested in the Underwood and the Orr moves and changes. Yeah, so they're really building out their whole program to attract the best horses to come and race at their meetings.
So that'll be a big day on the 15th of November there. The All Stakes worth $1 million, the Thoroughbred Club Stakes worth $1 million, and the Guineas worth $400,000. And looking forward to the autumn as well. The Newmarket now $2 million, so well done to the VRC there. I think they got it right. The All Star Mile $2 million. And then you've got the Australian Cup worth $2 million as well.
Yeah, well, all four of the Group 1 races at $2 million. There's a consistency there. The pattern of racing is working really, really well, and we've got a consistency across the prize money. And now it comes down to how can we best promote those races, not just the All-Star Mile, but the whole festival of racing.
And you feel everybody's on the same page within the industry?
Yeah, well, yes. I think most people are, all right. And we spend a lot of time talking with one another, working through this whole package of prize money outcomes that we've delivered, just as we did with the race dates. And I think we see a consolidated and very supportive industries right behind the changes that we've announced.
Some big news there regarding the restructure to the media business with Racing Victoria. We've discussed some of the cuts you made with racing.com and a few other aspects of your business a while ago. But it's exciting for us here at SEN, but we've purchased RSN, which is owned by Racing Victoria. Was that talk us through that decision?
Yeah. So RSN was owned by the three codes of racing. Yep. Racing Victoria was the majority shareholder, but also alongside Harness and Greyhounds. And we came to the collective decision that the best way of preserving RSN's future and legacy and ensuring that we could continue to have quality audio broadcasting of racing was to actually give the asset over to the SEN Group. And I think it's a tremendous opportunity for you and your team to take on and look after the legacy of RSN. It's one of the oldest brands in media, operations in media. So what we've done, we've sold the assets to the SEN Group, so the industry gets a return on those assets. We've kept some assets as well that are valuable to the industry. But more importantly, it wasn't just a sale and walk away. We've got an ongoing broadcast partnership with SEN, which is a real genuine partnership. We've got some expectations and parameters that we put in place around what we want SEN to do to continue quality broadcasting of Victorian racing, not just in Victoria, but also through the broader SEN national network. And I just think Hutchie and the SEN Group are great partners for RSN because he's someone who I know wants to continue to invest and build and grow, whether that's new technology, platforms, assets. We've got the opportunity to get a far greater crossover and cut through with sports customers. Yeah. So I just see a huge amount of positives going forward.
Yeah, I think Hutchie mentioned it on the sounding board with Damo. They dropped on Tuesday when the decision was made. It's RSN special to Hutchie in a way as well because he started off his media career. He was producing KB and the doc there when he first started his career. So he invests a lot into racing, especially with the Sports Entertainment Group. So
and I think it'd be great for him to go and share his vision with the RSN listeners, which I know he's keen to do. But I see it being really, really positive.
Yeah.
Be good for the industry.
No, it's exciting time. So that'll start on the 1st of September. There was a abandoned meeting today. Are you concerned that there's too many abandoned meetings these days?
Well, we've had it's never good to lose a meeting, abandon a meeting. Very frustrating for everyone concerned. And we also had one, I think, last week. So they're not. That's not the norm. I think we've been going okay, but we have had a couple in the last few weeks. Really disappointing. In this case, there seemed to be a lot of surface water this morning when the stewards inspected, and they called that off for safety reasons. The good news is we've seen a lot of races, a lot of the acceptors onto other races. I'm just looking at my text now. So we've had a number, 7 or 8 today already accepted at Donald. There's 14, 15 in Bendigo. So we'll keep working through to replace those horses.
I got about a minute and a half. I can't play the grab. Daniel Moore is a jockey. He's competing these days. So he said that some jockeys might be calling these meetings off because it's uncomfortable instead of unsafe.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'd say in this case, this wasn't about the jockeys, right?
Not
the stewards called this one off in the morning. Jockeys calling races off, well, they're entitled to, assess the safety and security. These are the guys and ladies running around on 500 keg horses. And the jockeys vote. It's a democratic process, and we publish the votes as well. So you can see how how the jockeys have voted, not individually, but I think there's a fair process there, but I'd imagine there'd be different views around. It
might be an interesting conversation.
Tolerances in
the jockeys' room. Hey, Aaron, we'll run out of time, but we appreciate you coming in, mate. Well done with these announcements. These exciting times, especially with the maidens. I reckon that's a big winner for us battlers. We don't get a chance to run the Melbourne Cup, but we can win our maiden at Colac or wherever it may be. Thanks for joining us.
Good on you. Thanks for your support again. Appreciate it.
There's Aaron Morrison, the CEO of Racing Victoria. That is Giddy Up, all thanks to Bet365. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.